It just needs to be scrolled down to the beginning, Prabhu.
Sure. Just 1 second. I think I'm doing something.
It just needs to be scrolled down to the beginning, Prabhu.
Sorry.
Just 1 second. I think I'm doing something.
I've got too many things opened here, unfortunately. Just 1 second. I'm getting confused myself, I guess.
That's fine. Probably the YouTube's replaying it, what we said a few minutes ago.
Yes. Can you see the screen?
Yes, that's fine for me, Prabhu. Are we ready to start?
Yes. Over to you, Bhaktirasa Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you. Krishna hoite chaturmukha, hoy Krishna sevonmukha, Brahma hoite naradera mati. Narada hoite vyasa, madhvakohe vyasa dasa, Purna Prakya Padmanabha Gati. Drihari Madhava Bangshe Akshobhya Paramahangshe Shishya Boli Angikara Kore Akshobhyera Shishya Jaya Tirtaname Parichaya Taradasye Jnana Sindhu Tore Taha Hoite Dayanidhi Taradasa Vidyanidhi Rajendra Hoilo Taha Hate Tahara Kinkora Jai Dharmaname Parichai Parampara Janobalo Mate Jaya Dharma Dasya Kyati Shri Purushottama Jati Tahate Brahmanya Tirtha Suri Vyasa Tirtha Taradasa Lakshmi Pati Vyasa Dasa Tahate Madhavendra Puri Madhavendra Puri Bara Shishya Bara Shri Ishwara Nityananda Shri Advaita Vibhu Ishwara Puri Ketanya Korilen Shri Chaitanya Jagat Guru Gaura Mahaprabhu Mahaprabhu Shri Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahe Anya Rupanuga Janera Jivana Vishwambara Priyankara Shri Swarupa Damodara Shri Goswami Rupasana Tana Rupa Priya Mahajana Jiva Raghu Natahana Tara Priya Kavi Krishna Dasa Krishna Dasa Priyavara Narottama Sevapara Jarapada Vishwanatha Asha Vishwanatha Bhaktasata Baladeva Jagannatha Tadapriya Shri Bhakti Vinoda Mahabhagavata Vara Shri Gora Kishora Vara Hari Bhajane Tejara Moda Ihara Paramahamsa Gorangera Nijabangsha Kadera Charane Mama Gati Ami Seva Udasina Namete Tridandi Dina Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Shri Varshabhanavapara Sadasevya Sevapara Tahara Dayita Dasa Nama Tara Pradhan Pracharaku Shri Bhakti Vedanta Namo Patita Janete Doyan Dhama Krishna hoite Chaturmukha Hoy Krishna Sevonmukha Brahma hoite Naradera Mati Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchatattva, Panchatattva, Panchatattva Jaya, Panchatattva Jaya, Panchatattva, 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 Panchatattva Jaya, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Shri Guru Parampara ki
Jai.
Madhvacharya's disappearance day ki
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bo. So Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for this wonderful online special class today. It is the disappearance day of Srila Madhvacharya, one of our Sampradaya Acharya. And on behalf of ISKCON Manchester, warm welcome to His Grace Bhakti Rasa Prabhu. Thank you so much, Bhakti Rasa Prabhu, for kindly agreeing to enlighten us on this wonderful occasion. It is greatly appreciated. I think Bhakti Rasa Prabhu and Kirtida Mataji, they gave a couple of classes in the past at ISKCON Manchester. So this is online now, and there is no need to travel. You can just sit in your home, comfort of your home, and give classes. Thanks to COVID, now it's online. So very quick, brief introduction to Bhakti Rasa Prabhu. He has been serving ISKCON Newcastle for over 35 years, if I'm not wrong. To stay in that movement, to stay connected to the movement for such a long time is an opulence. During the course of our devotion, we go through several ups and downs. And to stay connected to the movement is an opulence. Bhakti Rasa Prabhu served as a temple president of Newcastle Temple, ISKCON Newcastle, for many years. And he's still serving. Currently, Bhakti Rasa Prabhu and his wife, Kirtida Mataji, they are engaged in the preaching service of Srila Prabhupada. They do regular satsangs in and around Newcastle. We are very happy to welcome Bhakti Rasa Prabhu to our ISKCON Manchester online Sangha. Thank you very much, Prabhu. And please enlighten us, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Gauranath Raj Prabhu. And great pleasure for me to be here with the devotees of ISKCON Manchester today, and anyone else who's tuned in online through YouTube. Great privilege for me. And I pray that I'm able to do as nice a job as possible in glorifying Madhvacharya, representing Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, and also my own spiritual master. So I'm looking forward to that service this afternoon. I wanted us to start by reading the translation to the bhajan that we sang just to begin with there. And it's coming up on the screen share right now. So, in the beginning of creation, this science of devotional service was received by the four-headed Brahma from the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Devarshi Narada's understanding of this divine science was obtained from Brahma. The great sage Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas, who was empowered to compile the Vedic literatures, became a disciple of Devarshi Narada. Sripad Madhvacharya, the founder of the Shuddhadvaita school of Vedanta philosophy, who visited Vyasadeva at Badarik Ashram in the 13th century to learn from him Vedanta philosophy, calls himself a servant of Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas. Purna Pragya Tirtha, Madhva, is the guru and sole refuge of Padmanabha Tirtha. The two other principal disciples of Madhva are Nrihari Tirtha and Madhva Tirtha. Madhva Tirtha accepted the great Paramahamsa Akshobhya Tirtha as a disciple. The principal disciple of Akshobhya Tirtha was known as Jaya Tirtha. Jaya Tirtha's service was for his disciple Jnana Sindhu. Dayanidhi received the science of devotional service from Jnana Sindhu, and the servant of Dayanidhi was Vidyanidhi, Vidyadhiraj Tirtha. Rajendra Tirtha became a disciple of Vidyadhiraj Tirtha. Rajendra Tirtha's servant was known as Jayadharma or Vijayadvaja Tirtha. In this way, you should probably understand this disciplic succession. The great sannyasi Sri Purushottam Tirtha received his knowledge in the service of his guru Vijayadvaja Tirtha, Jayadharma. The principal disciple of Purushottama Tirtha was Subramanya Tirtha. His servant was the great Vyasa Tirtha, Vyasa Rai. Vyasa Tirtha's servant was Lakshmipati Tirtha, whose disciple was Madhavendra Puri Goswami. The chief disciple of Madhavendra Puri was Ishwara Puri, and two of his other disciples were the renowned incarnations of Godhead, Sri Nityananda and Advaita Acharya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the spiritual preceptor of all the worlds, made Ishwara Puri greatly fortunate by accepting him as his spiritual master. Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya, is non-different from Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, and is the very life of those Vaishnavas who follow Sri Rupa Goswami. Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and Sanatan Goswami were the givers of great happiness to Vishwambar, Sri Chaitanya. The great souls Jiva Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami became very dear to Rupa Goswami. Jiva Goswami was a disciple of Rupa Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami, a disciple of Advaita Acharya's disciple, Yadunandan Acharya, was accepted by Rupa and Sanatan as their third brother. Raghunath Das Goswami's beloved student was Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Krishnadas Kaviraj was an intimate friend of Lokanath Goswami. They lived together in Vrindavan and always discussed the topics of Krishna with one another. Lokanath Goswami, a disciple of Gadadhar Pandit, had only one disciple whose name was Narottam Das. Narottam Das was always engaged in the service of his guru, and he also engaged himself in the service of his guru's intimate friend. Thus he became very dear to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. To serve the feet of Narottam Das Thakur was the only desire of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who was the fourth Acharya in disciplic succession from Narottam Das. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was the Shiksha Guru, instructing spiritual master of Baladev Vidyabhushana, to whom he taught the precepts of Srimad Bhagavatam. Jagannath Das Babaji was a very prominent Acharya after Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan and was beloved Shiksha Guru of Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's intimate friend and associate was the eminent Mahabhagavat, Sri Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, whose sole joy was found in Hari Bhajan. These great saintly Vaishnavas are all Paramahamsas, or devotees of the highest order, and they are all part of Lord Gauranga's own spiritual family. Their holy feet are my refuge. I have no real interest in devotional services, and I am a poor and lowly Tridandi sannyasi named Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. The renowned Sri Barsha Bhanavi Dayita Das, the initiated name of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, is always engaged in the service of his spiritual master, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. His foremost disciple preacher is Sri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who has spread the message of Lord Chaitanya throughout the world and is thus a reservoir of mercy and compassion for all fallen souls. Thank you, Gauranath Raj Prabhu. We can take the screen share down now. And let's see if I can go to... Is it possible to arrange the screen so that I can see everyone who's tuned in, or is that going to be too difficult?
Yeah, Prabhu, you could just choose the gallery view.
I can see that now. Yes, thank you
Yeah,
very much.
just choose the gallery view as opposed to speaker view. Yeah.
Great, I got that. Thanks. So welcome to all the devotees, and I thought we could this badge and the translation could serve as our reference point today, our purport, if you like, verse and purport from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And because today we're observing the disappearance day of Madhvacharya, who's one of the prominent acharyas in our disciplic succession. And I thought it would be nice to find out what we already know about Madhvacharya. That if anyone in the audience now has something that they would like to share with the rest of the group, something that they know about the glories of Madhvacharya. And if you have, then maybe you can unmute yourself and just share that particular point. Just one thing, if you know whatever you might know about Madhvacharya, about his glories, maybe you would be kind enough to share that with us. And then that gives us an idea about what we already know as a group about Sri Madhvacharya. Would anyone like to take the...
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. I think he took sannyas when he was only very young, 12, 11, 12, things like that.
Thank you. I'd heard that also. So
I'd like to share something with you. I was listening to a very, very wonderful lecture by Kadamba Kanana Swami this morning, and he revealed something to me that I've never heard in any classes before, that Madhvacharya, he classified gopis as Jiva Tattva, something I've never, too philosophical for me. I was thinking it just, I'm not in that level to explain anything. I was just going to share that with you. But it was a brilliant discourse. Actually, I recommend people to listen or to hear to that lecture if they can. It was in Bhaktivedanta Manor website. And it was quite interesting the way Kadamba Kanana Swami put that in the contents into it. And it said Madhvacharya was actually a Shakti Avesh avatar of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And one of the questions that Kadamba Kanana was put into, how come Madhvacharya, he talked about Rasa Lila, but he didn't know anything about he put the gopis as Jiva. And then Kadamba Kanana Swami answered that because Madhvacharya was a Shakti Avesh avatar of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it was very, very philosophical. I would really recommend everybody to listen to that. It was amazing point Kadamba Kanana Swami put into that. And he made a point that Madhvacharya, he went, because our Sampradaya coming from Vasudev and then to Madhvacharya. But Vasudev was living almost 1,000 or something like that a year before Madhvacharya. But Madhvacharya went to Himalaya, and obviously Vasudev still lived in a cave somewhere in Himalaya. So Madhvacharya went to Himalaya to meet Vasudev, and that's how he explained that how our parampara jumped from Vasudev to Madhvacharya. It was brilliant to explain, so I really, really recommend everybody to listen to that lecture. Brilliant philosophical point in that.
Thanks for sharing, Raj Kumar Govinda Prabhu. So that's Kadamba Kanana Maharaj's lecture on Bhaktivedanta Mana's website from this morning, if anyone wants to check that out. And so we heard from Bhubaneshwari that Madhvacharya, he took sannyas at an early age, and Raj Kumar Govinda Prabhu just shared with us that he was a Shakti Avesh avatar of Lord Chaitanya, and he was able to meet with Vyasadeva in the bhajan we just sang. It goes from Vyasadeva to Madhva although there's almost 1,000 years between them in terms of dates according to our understanding. So he was able to do that because it's understood that Vyasadeva is still resident in his hermitage cave in Badarik Ashram for those who have the eyes to see, let's say. And Madhvacharya, he had that capacity to go there and commune with Vyasadeva. I think he made that pilgrimage trip twice, all the way from Udupi, Karnataka in South India, all the way up to Badarik Ashram. So from the southern part of India all the way up to the northern part. And in those days, the British hadn't arrived yet, so no trains to jump on. And the Americans neither, so no planes either. So it was just, you went on foot or you took a camel ride or whatever you could do. So anyone else like to share anything that they'd heard about Madhvacharya? Anyone else like to help us out in our quest for understanding the glories of Madhvacharya?
He proposed the Dvaita dualism.
Thank you. Yes, he had he put forward the philosophical system of Dvaitavad, or sometimes it's called Shuddha Dvaita, pure dualism, which is different from Shuddha Advaita, which is pure monism, which is a different Vaishnava philosophical system. I think that one belongs to, let me think. I think that's Vishnu Swami, yeah, who's the Shuddhadvaita. And Madhvacharya, his was Shuddha Dvaita, so pure dualism. Thank you, Lakshmi. Gauranath Prabhu, did you have something to share?
Yes, Prabhu. So Madhvacharya, from Madhva Sampradaya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took two principles. Every Sampradaya, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took two principles. I think, if I remember well, one of the principles was that deity worship, or the deity is non-different from the Lord himself. Yes. So he is again, he is Vayu, the wind god, has three incarnations. The first one was Hanuman, the second one was Bhim, and third considered to be Madhvacharya himself.
Thank you. So we're building up quite a picture as we go along. Anyone else? I'm happy to take one more contribution if anyone has something new that we haven't spoken about yet, something relating to Sri Madhvacharya. Okay, thank you very much for all those contributions. And now I'd like to pose a question to everybody. So I'd like to keep you engaged, if that's okay, for a little while longer. My question is, what's the greatest glory of Madhvacharya? What's his greatest glory? If anyone has a suggestion that they'd like to say.
Is it defeating impersonalism?
Well, that certainly is a great glory. There's no doubt about that, and he certainly has that accolade also. So thank you for contributing that. Anyone else like to give a proposal at what Madhvacharya's greatest glory is? Something different that Gauranath Raj mentioned. There's no right or wrong answer necessarily. It's a kind of a subjective thing in some respects. Lakshmi?
Establishing the worship of Udupi Krishna, which is going on still now.
Sorry, I keep calling you Lakshmi because I've known you for such a long time. Lalita Priti. Yes, he established the worship of Natya Gopal in Udupi. and 8 maths surrounding that to facilitate the seva of the deity. And it's gone on from his time all the way to the present day. So that's certainly a great glory of Madhvacharya. And thank you for those contributions. But I want to suggest something a little bit different, maybe extra. Not that it's different; it's just something extra. Based the clue is in the bhajan that we sung actually, and the great. I would suggest that the greatest glory of Madhvacharya is that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu agreed to take initiation and be part of his sampradaya. That his sampradaya was so attractive, Madhvacharya's sampradaya, his principles were so pure and so attractive, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he chose to align himself with the sampradaya of Madhvacharya. And it kind of connects in some respects with the point that was mentioned earlier from Kadambakanana Maharaj about Madhvacharya being a Shakti-Avesh incarnation of Lord Chaitanya, because they have that disciplic connection. That Lord Chaitanya, he's Krishna himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahayanya. Or there's this other verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, Krishna Varnam Twisha Krishna Sangopangastra Parshada Yagyai Sankirtana Prayaya Jantihi Sumedashaha. That Lord Chaitanya, he's Krishna, but he doesn't come in Krishna's color. He doesn't come in blackish color. He comes in Twisha. He comes in the color of yellow or golden color, which is the color of Radharani. Therefore, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahayanya. So he's Krishna, but he doesn't come blackish. He comes golden. And those people who have great intelligence, Sumedha, I saw his screen pop up before. I'm not sure if he's still with us. But those people who are Sumedasha, they've got great intelligence. They worship Lord Chaitanya in the Kali Yuga by performance of the Sankirtan Yagya. They worship him along with his associates, like Panchatattva. Like in Manchester ISKCON, you're worshipping Panchatattva. And in Newcastle ISKCON, we're also worshipping Panchatattva. There are worshipable altar deities. So that means, according to the Bhagavatam, we qualify as having good intelligence. That we're attending to the worship of Panchatattva. It's a by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Panchatattva, we get that qualification, let's say. Even though otherwise, in my case, we might have very little intelligence. But by the mercy of Panchatattva and Lord Chaitanya, we get that benediction, that boon through the Bhagavatam. So I would suggest that that's possibly, among the other great glories that we heard, that's possibly one of the greatest, or the greatest glory of Madhvacharya, that Lord Chaitanya himself aligned himself with the sampradaya of Madhvacharya, that disciplic line. And that's mentioned that Lord Chaitanya, he made Ishwara Puri greatly fortunate by accepting him as a spiritual master. So that great fortune goes back in disciplic succession also, as we understand that's how the chain works. The mercy comes down, and any service that gets done goes up towards Krishna. The mercy comes down from Krishna through the chain of disciplic succession, and any service that's rendered goes back up the chain like that. So the fact that Lord Chaitanya made his appearance there, it's a great glory of Madhvacharya, great credit for him. I'd like to, so thanks everyone for their contributions there. I'd like to just sketch a brief historical context to Madhvacharya, because I think it helps us to understand more about his significance. And I'd start with Lord Buddha, the appearance of Lord Buddha around 2,500, 2,600 years ago, or 500 years before Christ in terms of dates. And at the time of Lord Buddha, the Vedas had been perverted. the purpose of the Vedas had been, we could say the Vedas had been hijacked by unscrupulous people, unscrupulous priests. And they were using the sacrificial portion of the Vedas particularly as an excuse for animal slaughter. And Lord Buddha, he didn't like to see this. Of course, it's mentioned in the Bhagavatam that Buddha is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. He's mentioned in the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam in the list of incarnations. And he's also mentioned by Jayadev Goswami in the Das Avatar Stotra, that he comes because people are using the Vedas as an excuse for killing animals. And their motivation was to eat the animals. So basically they were running slaughterhouses in a sense, but they were using the Vedic sacrifice as an excuse to do that. So Lord Buddha, he appeared and he told people to reject the Vedas. Therefore, he's technically known as Nastic or atheist, someone who doesn't follow Vedic principles, because the Vedas had been hijacked. So he said, okay, reject the Vedas, just look to yourself. Look within yourself to find the truth. Don't go for an external authority like the Vedas. And his approach was successful. It put an end to that abuse of the Vedas, at least. And because Lord Buddha, he got government sanction, let's say, in his day from Maharaj Chandragupta, then his process, Buddhism, it spread all over India. Not just India, but all the areas surrounding India, also to the north and to the east, Southeast Asia, all around there. Buddhism became the prominent religion, or the prominent spiritual practice for quite a long time, hundreds of years, centuries. But then Shankaracharya came along. This was also the plan of the Lord, the long-term plan of the Lord. And Shankaracharya, he wanted to bring people back to the shelter of the Vedas, because the Vedas are actually the only hope for fallen conditioned souls in the material world. It's Krishna's way of reaching out to the fallen conditioned souls and giving them shelter, giving them an avenue or a route or a roadmap, how to get out of the material world and how to go back home, back to Godhead, how to develop their love for Krishna. How does that verse go? Sarvasya chaham ridisani vishtam atasmritir jnanam apohanam cha vedaischa sarvayar ahameva vedyo vedantakrit vedavid eva chaham. That by all the Vedas, Krishna is to be known. So Krishna, he extends the Vedas to people so that they can know him and love him and go to him. So without the Vedas, people are stuck, people are lost. So that wasn't a long-term satisfactory situation. So this was Lord Vishnu, he had a long-term plan, or Krishna had a long-term plan, how to get people back to the shelter of the Vedas, how to clean up the Vedas in the sense of rid them of unscrupulous followers, and how to get people to come back to the shelter. So he empowered Lord Shiva to make an appearance as Shankaracharya. And Shankaracharya, his philosophy was a compromised Buddhism, we can say like that. It was impersonal. So in the impersonal sense, it was atheistic also. That there's no separate God, there's no deity. Everyone's God. It's all one. And but he was, because he was empowered, Lord Shiva, then he was very successful in defeating Buddhism. So much so that although Buddhism had been spread everywhere like that, after the short time, it was pushed out of India almost entirely. Pushed out as far as the north, Nepal and Tibet. It stayed around a little bit there. And in Southeast Asia, it stayed around there a little bit. But as far as the main part of the subcontinent, Buddhism was just small vestiges were just left. So that was the influence of Shankaracharya. But that wasn't the full story. The full route back to the complete, giving people the complete shelter of the Vedas wasn't achieved with that. So then there's the appearance of the Vaishnava acharyas. And there's four main Vaishnava lineages or sampradayas, and they are a lineage coming from the Kumaras, the four Kumaras, a lineage coming from Lord Shiva, lineage coming from Lakshmi, and a lineage coming from Brahma. So in the lineage coming from, I guess the first one, it's a little bit tricky to put dates on some of them. For example, with Vishnu Swami, some people say that he was after Ramanujacharya, but some people say that he was a long time before that. So there's a confusion about the dates with Vishnu Swami. Some people say that he was even his date was BC, 300 BC, so not long after Buddha. And some people say that he was around the time of Shankaracharya, not long after Shankaracharya, same century as Shankaracharya. So difficult to place him in terms of dates, but he's the head of one sampradaya at least, and that's the Rudra sampradaya. Then in the Kumara sampradaya, there's Nimbarka, and they have a philosophical system that they share. They're all Vaishnavas, these four lines. And then in the Lakshmi sampradaya, there's Ramanujacharya, and he's the first, the person who had the biggest impact after Shankaracharya was Ramanujacharya. And Ramanujacharya was just at the beginning of the 11th century, around 1017. He made his appearance, and his philosophy was Vishishtadvaita. So Shankaracharya's philosophy was Advaitavad. Everything is one, it's all one. Brahman, everything is Brahman, everything is one, all living entities, everything merges in Brahman. Ultimately, that should, this is like a postage stamp version of their philosophies, because obviously they're whole systems and they exist in volumes and volumes and volumes of literature, but just the postage stamp version is like that it's all one. So then Ramanuja, coming after Shankara, he wanted to bring people closer to the original the purpose of the Vedas, which is to know Krishna. So he accepted, at least in name, he accepted the principle of Shankara, that it's all one, but it's specifically one. Not just that it's all one homogeneously, but it's specifically one in the sense that everything's Krishna. That's his oneness. It's not that everything is Brahman with Ramanujacharya, but everything's Krishna, including Brahman. So he was incorporating, if you like, or recognizing Shankaracharya's contribution, but also heavily contradicting it and bringing it round to the Vaishnav point of view. That yes, okay, we'll accept that it's all one, but the one is Krishna. And that makes a big difference. The one isn't just impersonal Brahman, but the one is personal Krishna. And then after Ramanujacharya comes Madhvacharya. And Madhvacharya, he wasn't quite satisfied. He comes about a century or so later than Ramanujacharya. And he wasn't quite satisfied that Ramanujacharya had done a strong enough job with Shankara in defeating him. So his approach was to diametrically oppose Shankara. He wasn't making any compromises. Like that's one of the trademarks of our Sampradaya, if you like, recently, coming from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and our own Srila Prabhupada, that in philosophical matters, no compromise. Sometimes we take that too widely, that no compromise principle. We think it applies to everything. And then we don't compromise in our interpersonal relationships amongst devotees, and we end up in a lot of trouble. But in many things we should compromise. It's very good to be flexible and to consider the other person, not expect any respect for ourselves, but offer all respect to others. That's the principle, Trinadapi Sunichena, on an interpersonal level. But in terms of philosophy or theology, let's say also, that no compromise. We don't compromise on that, especially with regards to impersonalism, the Mayavadis particularly. So that's coming from Madhvacharya. He was a no compromise person. And therefore Shankara's philosophy was Advaita, so Madhva's philosophy was Dvaita. Not oneness, dualism. Always two, like that for Madhvacharya. And so he was, if you like, in terms of our reference point, our lineage, he was that last turn in historical events to offer people the full shelter of the Vedic conclusion, to give them the opportunity to know Krishna as a person and take shelter of Krishna as a person. That was Madhvacharya's role in that chain of historical events. Sometimes devotees presented in that context. So I thought that might be interesting to understand. And I thought it's maybe a good thing to ask. We already had it to some extent, the answer, but we thought that the glory of Madhvacharya, perhaps the greatest glory, was that he took shelter. Lord Chaitanya took shelter in his disciplic succession, chose to do that, the Supreme Lord. But why did Lord Chaitanya choose to do that? And we already had the answer coming up. I think Gauranataraj provided us with the answer. And that is that in the Madhva Sampradaya, they accept the form of Krishna as real. The form of Krishna is true. The form of Krishna is truth. And that's particularly noted in connection with the worship of the deity in Udupi. Before Madhvacharya had that deity of Gopal, Natya Gopal, he used to take his bath because the place where he lived nearby to Udupi, it's on the ocean shore. So he used to take his bath daily in the ocean. And after taking his bath, he used to pray to Krishna. He started to pray, please appear in a form in which I can worship you. I want to always have you near so I can engage in your service. I want to be able to worship you. So please manifest yourself in a form that allows me to do that. So then one day he had just taken his bath, and the ocean, the sea there became very rough. A storm brewed up, and he could see that there was one cargo ship coming down the coast, and it was in trouble. It was starting to flounder in the rough seas. So he started to send signals to the captain of the ship how the ship could come to safe harbor. And by following the signals of Madhvacharya, that ship was able to come into port. So when it came into port, the captain of the ship, he wanted to show his gratitude to Madhvacharya. So he offered to give him a gift. He asked Madhvacharya to accept some gift from the ship. And Madhvacharya noticed that they'd come from Dwarka. And coming from Dwarka, they had a consignment of Gopi Chandan Tilak on the ship, just like many of us are wearing today, this Gopi Chandan Tilak. It has a connection to the lotus feet of the gopis. It's mud from the place where they trod in that area. There's a whole leela connected to that. So Gopi Chandan, it's famous. So the captain agreed, yes, and he had a huge consignment, one big lump of Gopi Chandan, and they came to unload it onto the dock, and just as it was coming down, it split open, and inside there was a deity, a beautiful deity of Krishna that had been stored away inside that Gopi Chandan, stored himself away inside the Gopi Chandan, just to make the appearance that Madhvacharya had been praying for. And the deity was so heavy that when the Gopi Chandan came down to the ground like that, it split the whole Gopi Chandan open. That deity, in fact, was so heavy that even 12 men who were on the dock side, they couldn't carry it. Madhvacharya, he wanted to take it to Udupi and establish its worship there, the worship of the deity, Gopal deity. But it was too heavy for anyone else to carry. So he single-handedly picked it up. As we heard earlier, that he's the third incarnation of the wind god of Vayu. So he's famous. One of his other glories is that he had amazing physical strength, massive amount of physical power. No one could defeat him physically during his lifetime, during his time. Even numbers of people, he would defeat them all single-handedly in wrestling or anything like that. So he carried the deity to Udupi and he installed it there, and the worship is still going on to this day. So that deity is a very interesting deity. It's a deity of Gopal. It has a stick in one hand, or he has a stick in one hand, and he has a prasad or a laddu in his other hand. So, and he's called Nartaka Gopal, dancing Gopal. And when Lord Chaitanya was on his tour of South India, he visited the temple, and he became so absorbed in the beauty of the deity that he was dancing there in great ecstasy. And I thought that's also an interesting connection between Madhvacharya and Lord Chaitanya. That Lord Chaitanya, he's known as Gauranataraj, that he's Gaura Chandra, who's the greatest dancer, Gauranataraj. He's famous for his dancing in ecstatic love for Krishna. So when he saw the deity of Krishna dancing, there was a special connection. And interesting that Madhvacharya was worshipping that deity of a dancing Krishna, dancing Gopal. So the Madhva line, they accept the form of Krishna as real or truth. It's not. There's no question that Krishna's form is real. And in fact, their philosophical system is that because, and then based on Krishna's form being real, they say that everything else is real. That's their philosophy. Everything's real for the Madhvas. Because Krishna is real, and everything comes from Krishna. Janmad yasya yataha, as the Brahma Sutras say, that everything, the absolute truth is that thing from which everything else emanates. So because Krishna is real, Krishna's form's real, then everything that emanates from Krishna is also real. That's the approach of Madhvacharya. And that also refers to, so that principle gets trickled down, if you like. So the Vedas are real, they're true. The Vedas are axiomatic in the Madhva tradition. They're self-evident. They are evidence. They're the highest form of evidence, Shabda Brahma. And that's another thing that we take in our line strongly from the Madhva position, that we accept the authority of the Vedas as our guide, as a truth, as a self-evident truth, an incontrovertible truth. What is in the Vedas is Vedic evidence. And the other thing that they accept also as being real is the world, because the slogan of the followers of Shankaracharya is Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. The Brahman is true, but Jagat, the world, is false. So the Madhva philosophy says, no, the world is true. It's true, it's just temporary. The nature of the world is that it's temporary, but that doesn't mean that it's not true. It's true because it's Krishna's energy. Maya jakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetunanina konteya jagat viparivartate. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, this energy of mine, the material energy, it's working under his direction, and it's producing all moving and non-moving beings. And under its influence, the cosmic manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So that's coming in line from the Madhvacharya point of view, that things are real, things aren't illusory. There is illusion, but it's not in terms of Krishna's energy, it's in terms of the misconceived identity of the living entity. The illusion is with us as conditioned souls. Otherwise, things are real. We just made a mistake about what's real and what isn't. We're thinking our real identity is the temporary identity. That's the illusion. So there is an illusion, but it's not the illusion on Krishna's part or on the part of Krishna's energies. Krishna's energies are real. So when Lord Chaitanya was on his tour of South India, he visited Udupi, and he also met some of the followers of Madhvacharya who were there at that stage. So they were some generations down from Madhvacharya in his disciplic succession. And he told them that the thing that I like about your sampradaya, the credit of your sampradaya, is that you accept the form of Krishna as real. But he also had some criticisms to make. He felt that they'd deviated from the original purpose of the founder Acharya. And I wonder if anyone has any suggestions on what the criticisms of Lord Chaitanya were for the followers of Madhva at that time. They're known as Tattvavadis. And again, that means that everything is true, everything is real, Tattvavadi. Yes, Gauranath Prabhu.
Is it that they are supposed to distribute this philosophy to everyone, not to just to keep themselves, based on the birth or something like that?
That's a good suggestion. It's not what I had in mind, but I guess it's possible. I don't recall Lord Chaitanya bringing that up with them.
Okay.
Okay, so what Lord Chaitanya said, he actually, as usual, Lord Chaitanya, he had this common practice, let's say. He would present himself very humbly, because those Tattvavadis, when they first saw Lord Chaitanya, they thought he was a Mayavadi. They didn't know that he was a great devotee until he started to dance before the deity of Gopal. They thought, oh, he is just another Mayavadi sannyasi. So they didn't associate with him. And Lord Chaitanya could detect, these devotees are very proud of their Vaishnavism. So once they'd seen him dancing all that while before the deity, they realized he's an ecstatic Vaishnava. And then they approached him for association. But he responded to them very humbly and said that actually I don't know what the goal of life is or what the process of achieving the goal of life is. So you please enlighten me. Lord Chaitanya requested them like that. There was a leader of the Tattvavadi group who was very advanced philosophically, very erudite scholar of the Vedas. So Lord Chaitanya asked him, so what's the goal of life and what's the process for achieving it? And the Acharya, he responded that the process is to follow Varnashram Dharma and offer whatever you do in Varnashram Dharma, you offer that to Krishna, and then that's the process for achieving the goal of life. And the goal of life is that by doing that, by following Varnashram Dharma and offering whatever you do to Krishna, then you'll go back to Godhead. You'll go to where Krishna is, you'll get liberation. So Lord Chaitanya heard him, but Lord Chaitanya wasn't satisfied. He said, actually, you're presenting, the presentation of your conclusion isn't in keeping with Vaishnava principles, with pure Vaishnava principles. And he said that if you promote Varnashram Dharma, you'll be promoting fruitive activity. You'll be encouraging people to engage in fruitive activity. Because although Varnashram Dharma is intended for the pleasure of Krishna, It's a way that people engage in according to their own propensity. And then, therefore, the loophole of it is that it can become fruitive. People can end up with fruitive motives for doing their dharma, for performing their prescribed duties. And therefore, it won't be successful. And then he said also, your goal isn't the actual goal. The goal of liberation, he said, you're presenting salvation or liberation as the goal, but that's also a selfish motive to get liberation. It's not a pure motive, it's a selfish motive. Someone wants it for their own good, for their own sake. And Lord Chaitanya said the actual goal is to develop pure love for Krishna. So in that way, Lord Chaitanya pointed out two flaws that had developed in the disciplic succession of the Tattvavadis coming from Madhvacharya. Krishna points that out in the Bhagavad Gita, Evam parampara praptam imam raja shio vidu sakale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. That this supreme science was received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings, they understood it in that way, but in course of time the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. So that happens from time to time with disciplic succession. People find a loophole, like the lawyer's business, there's the law, but there's also loopholes in the law. And some people are expert in finding those loopholes and expanding them, enlarging them so that they become the main thing instead of the actual law. So that can happen to disciplic successions in the course of time. Krishna points that out. And therefore they need to be replenished by acharyas and by Shaktivesh avatars and Krishna himself like that. So Lord Chaitanya, he was performing that service for the Madhva Sampradaya, replenishing, purifying, pointing out, you've gone off, you've deviated here. People are taking this Varnashram principle as an excuse to engage in fruitive activities, and also your goal that you've assigned isn't the full goal, the idea of liberation. But developing love for Krishna is the full goal. That was Lord Chaitanya's point. It's not to get liberated, it's to develop your love for Krishna. Krishna Prema Pumarto Mahan is the greatest goal. And he also said the process isn't Varnashram. Varnashram may be there or maybe not there. Again, we can remember that Lord Chaitanya, he's the Kali Yuga avatar. He's the Yuga avatar for the Kali age. So in Kali Yuga, Varnashram's hanging by a thread. That's in many places if it's being operated at all. Of course, it's inherent in human society, as Krishna points that out, but its capacity to survive in Kali Yuga is very, very slim. Very slim. So you can't have a spiritual process in the Kali Yuga that depends on Varnashram Dharma. You have to have something which is transcendental to Varnashram Dharma. So Lord Chaitanya, he delivered that in the form of Shravanam Kirtanam. That was his process. That was his proposal. He said the process is actually Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, and the goal is to develop love for Krishna. These are the actual goals. And in that way, he pointed it out to them. He quoted verses and he gave references to back up both the flaws in their position and the positive reasons why his position was better. And then they accepted. And they became very affectionate towards Lord Chaitanya. He had taken away their false pride of being great Vaishnavas. But he had also credited them. He recognized them, that there's a great credit for your Sampradaya, and that is that you accept Krishna as real, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he also found that he gave them some feedback, some room for improvement, and they were able to accept that by his grace. So I think I've spoken for long enough. I'd like to open it out now. If anyone has any questions or comments or any thoughts that they would like to contribute, anything like that. And thank you very much for listening, everybody. just unmute yourself if you have anything to any question to raise or any contribution to make.
Also, those who are watching on YouTube, if you would like to put your comment or questions in the chat box, then I will convey here.
Prabhuji, I was wondering why did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that time he didn't take sannyas or from Ramanuja Sampradaya was, why did he go to only Madhva at that time? There are two options were there. So I was wondering.
I think that the main reason is that the Madhvas were so strongly opposed to Shankara. They really distinguished themselves from Shankara, and they had that principle. The essence of their distinguishing themselves from Shankara was that Krishna, the form of Krishna, is truth. And so Lord Chaitanya felt that was the strongest, most attractive point that he could make. And that's my understanding of why he chose the Madhva Sampradaya.
Thank you, Prabhu.
There's if anyone's familiar with Tamal Krishna Maharaj and the PhD that was posthumously produced, the book that he wrote about Prabhupada's presentation, theological presentation, his PhD research on it. He pointed out that Prabhupada's outstanding contribution was to establish that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That was, if you like, that was Prabhupada's mantra, the thing that he emphasized over and above any other principle, based on an analysis of his complete teachings. That what's the essence, or what's the main thrust, what's the spearhead of Prabhupada's contribution. And his point was that this phrase, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was the thing that he thought really characterized Prabhupada's philosophical contribution or theological contribution. And I think that that's very much coming in disciplic succession from Madhva, and that was why Lord Chaitanya chose to align himself with the Madhva Sampradaya like that, because they've got that strength, that singular strength. I think it was Prabhupada, when he first sent devotees to the UK, he sent 3 Grihastha couples, Mukunda and Janaki, Malati and Shyamasundar, and Gurudas and Yamuna. And Shyamasundar and Malati, they had a daughter. So they had a baby daughter, a baby girl called Saraswati. So there was actually 7 devotees altogether, but Saraswati was still a baby at that time. But as she started to grow up, as she became a toddler, Saraswati started to preach Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada, when he came, he appreciated her preaching very much, to the extent that he said her preaching is perfect. And then Prabhupada characterized her preaching, that she goes up to someone and says, "Do you know who is Krishna?" And that person says, "No, I don't know who is Krishna." And then she says, "Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead." And that was it. That was her preaching mantra. That was all she was capable of at the time. But Prabhupada said, therefore her preaching is perfect. So like that one point, it's worth so much. It's such a substantial point, because so many things come from that point. So many valuable things come from that point. And without that point, without being strong in that point, then there's always the danger of nirvishesha shunyavadi.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I just had a little doubt on the incident you mentioned between the not the Mayavadis, the Tattvavadis and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So was it the fact that they did not emphasize devotional service, or was it rather the fact that they prioritize liberation, which devotees see liberation as hellish if there's no devotional service? Is it the fact that they prioritize liberation and varnashram without devotional service? What was the reason that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that he found fault there?
Thank you very much. It was actually both. And I don't think that he was saying that their adherence to varnashram wasn't a form of devotional service. It is a form of devotional service because their approach to varnashram was that you do your varnashram for the pleasure of Krishna. So whatever your varna and your ashram is, you execute that nicely, and then you do that for the pleasure of Krishna. So it's a kind of devotional service, but he was saying that it's not pure devotional service. Okay. Because the loophole there is that it becomes fruitive activities. And we see that. I see it in myself, that these aren't these things. It's good for me to remember at least that these aren't just critiques of the Tattvavadis. They're critiques of the fallen conditioned soul, of which I'm one. So the idea of doing what we do just for the pleasure of Krishna, it's easy to lose track of that, especially in varnashram, because you're working according to your own propensity, and you're working in what you know how to do like that. So it's the tendency towards fruitive activities can be quite strong, quite hard to resist even in that setting. I've worked, I've earned this, and therefore I should enjoy it like that. Very difficult to give it up. It can be quite subtle also, even in terms of what we do as devotional service. Sometimes Krishna points out that actually it's your service isn't being offered purely. You're attached to the result. Somehow or another you're attached to enjoying the result yourself. So it's not just for the Tattvavadis, but in the context of the discussion that he had with them, yes, that was the one thing. And then the other thing was that yes, they were proposing varnashram, which was not firm ground, and then that Shravanam Kirtanam was much firmer ground, because Shravanam Kirtanam means a transformation of the heart. It's a practice. It's engaging in a practice of directly connecting with Krishna. It's a yoga practice. It's a yoga principle. So there's that nice verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita: Anitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai Shravanadi Shuddhachitte Karaye Udai. So that process of Shravanadi, Shravanam Kirtanam, it Shuddhachitte, it cleanses the heart, it purifies the heart. So it's transformational. It's not just, say for example in the Varnashram system, like myself, I would be a Shudra. So I'll have to work this whole lifetime as a Shudra and then be born again next time as a Vaishya if I do my Shudra business very nicely, and then work that lifetime as a Vaishya. Because remember that the Tattvavadi philosophical position is that everything is real, even the material world. So they're saying also that your Varna and Ashram, it's also real. It's not illusory. So you have to prosecute it like that. So they're too strong on that Varnashram principle to the detriment of emphasizing Shravanam Kirtanam. Whereas with Shravanam Kirtan, it's dynamic, it's transformational, that we engage in the process and our heart changes and we're able to transcend whatever the limits of our Varna and Ashram are, even in this one lifetime, to the extent of developing full love for Krishna if we're fortunate enough, if we're sincere enough. So Lord Chaitanya was pointing out that this is what should be emphasized. Engaging in the service of Krishna, these Nava-anga Bhakti, these 9 processes of devotion, beginning with Shravanam Kirtanam, and not so much the Varnashram. And then with the liberation, there's those 5 types of liberation: Sayujya, Salokya, Sarshti, Samipya, and what's the
Sayuja.
Sayuja we mentioned. Let me think. What's the Sayuja, Swarupya, Salokya, Sarshti, and Samipya. Yeah. So having the same form as Krishna, being in the same place as Krishna, living on the same planet as Krishna, having the same opulence as Krishna, and finally merging into the effulgence of Krishna. So out of those 5 forms, that one, Sayuja, the devotees never accept under any circumstance. But even the other 4, devotees aren't motivated for them. That's not their goal. If Krishna wants to give it to them, they'll accept. Of the other 4, they'll accept it. If Krishna wants a devotee to be on the same planet as him, then they accept that. But it's not their goal. It's not their motivation. Their only goal, their only motivation is to develop their love for Krishna. The example that's given in the CC is Maharaj Chitraketu, that when he saw Lord Shiva giving the Bhagavatam class with his wife on his lap, he started to laugh, thinking that how transcendental Lord Shiva is, that he can even speak the Bhagavatam with his wife on his lap. But Parvati saw him laughing and she didn't like it. She was insulted. She thought he was ridiculing her husband. So she cursed him to take birth as a demon. So he was a great Vaishnava. He was very powerful. He could have counteracted the curse, but he didn't. He chose not to. He just accepted it, that he'll take birth as a demon, no problem, if that's what Parvati wants. So Lord Shiva, he quoted that verse that the devotees of Lord Vishnu, they don't mind where they are, whether they're in heaven or whether they're in hell, or whether they're liberated. It doesn't make any difference to them, because
they see it on the same level.
Always with Krishna, and that's what they care about, to always be in love with Krishna. So they were the 2 critiques that Lord Chaitanya made of the Tattvavadis.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thanks for your question. Very nice.
Hare Krishna. Let me see. Let me check again if there are any comments on YouTube. I can't see any comments on YouTube, Prabhu, but yeah, I can see on Zoom a couple of devotees expressing their gratitude for wonderful class and your time. Really appreciate it. So Bhaktivinoda Prabhu, thank you so much. We don't usually sing this Shri Guru Parampara. Nice, you chose in ISKCON. We don't often, we do sing now and then, but it's good. It's nice that you chose this wonderful bhajan. And sometimes we wonder where Prabhupada is, got this list. When we open Bhagavad Gita, there's a list of disciplic succession, but that is coming from this bhajan, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's very nice of you that you chose that wonderful bhajan, and we are able to remember our names of previous acharyas. Wonderful to get connected to. And you're given nice background of the 4 sampradaya, 4 disciplic successions, and why Madhvacharya came and what he had done to the devotional service. What was his main contribution? You have highlighted clearly that bhakti was his contribution, as well as defeating the impersonalism that is there in our blood as a Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So we like anyone who fights with Mayavadis. We like them. So thank you very much. And also you mentioned how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had pointed out that the hearing and chanting is more important than following the Varnashrama system itself. That is the point highlighted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu you mentioned. So it was very nice, very, you've engaged all of us, wonderful way of preaching, and thank you so much. I really appreciate on behalf of ISKCON Manchester here. We would like to thank once again for your time and effort you have put into. Really appreciate. Is Grace Bhakti Rasa Prabhu Ki Jai. So 3 loud Haribols, okay? Haribol, Haribol,
Haribol.
Haribol.
Thank you all so much. It's been a great pleasure for me to have your association and to get the opportunity to speak before you for my own purification. It's a great privilege for me. And oh, nice to see Radha Mohan popping up. Lovely to see you, Prabhu. Haribol. Been a long time. And I just wanted to leave you with a little takeaway. And that is that, you know, this idea about fruitive activities, the pitfalls of fruitive activities in connection with Varnashram Dharma. I thought of the example of Srila Prabhupada's father, Gaur Mohan De. He was a cloth merchant. So in terms of Varnashram, he was a Vaishya. And Prabhupada said of him that his profession was as a cloth merchant, but his main business was puja. That was his main business. So there's this verse in the Bhagavatam, Dharma swanustita pungsam vishvakshena katasuya notpada yedyadiratim shrama eva hi kevalam. That whatever someone does according to their own nature, whatever work they perform, it's only so much useless labor if it doesn't serve to awaken their attraction for the messages of Krishna. So whatever our position is in the world, it's important for us as devotees to keep that focus, to make sure that our main business is puja, just like Gaur Mohan De, or in our case, more specifically, Shravanam Kirtanam, as recommended by Lord Chaitanya. So whatever we're doing, it's great. We can do that nicely for Krishna, but make sure that our main focus is on the Shravanam Kirtanam, developing our attraction for Krishna. And for us as Hare Krishna devotees, that means each day getting the beads out, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bhakti Rasa Prabhu. Really appreciate for everything that you've done today. Thank you. Just a couple of announcements. I've got the calendar in front of me. I'm looking at it, and there are quite a few important dates that are coming up. Today, of course, we have celebrated Disappearance Day of Madhvacharya online. Unfortunately, Bhakti Rasa Prabhu, we are not able to offer you any ISKCON Manchester Prasadam because of the online Sangha. We can only hear from you, but not able to offer even water also. You had to get your own cup of water, glass of water. So Srila Madhvacharya ki jai. And tomorrow is interestingly Disappearance Day of Sri Ramanujacharya, another prominent Acharya of Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. And then on Tuesday we have Ekadashi, and on Wednesday it is Varaha Dwadashi, Appearance Day of Lord Varahadev. And guess what is coming on Thursday is Nityananda Prabhu's Appearance Day. So we got so many wonderful occasions coming up. We can take advantage of them. So Ramanujacharya is like, you know, is the expansion of Balram or Adishesh. Nityananda Prabhu is also non-different from Balram. So they have similar mood. So we are having a special program on the occasion of our Nityananda Prabhu's Appearance Day. There is an evening program, and the communication will be sent out in the next day or two. So that's it from my side. Anything from book table, Madhav Kumar Prabhu or Radhamohan Prabhu, you have anything to say?
Just thank you once again, Bhakti Rasa Prabhu. It was very nice Manchester, we're trying to make use of the opportunity that lockdown is presenting. So you said devotees of the Lord are happy to be anywhere. So lockdown or no, we are trying to continue to use time and space to come together and discuss acharyas and glorify them and improve our own sadhana bhakti. We are continuing to push distributing books, and all of us have having to work from home and not doing so much travel. We have time at hand, so we just continue to urge members of the congregation to take the opportunity to distribute and share as much as possible the holy name by medium of books. So we are available, whether you want to donate or gift or buy for yourself. Please keep reaching out, and thank you for all the support we've had so far. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Madhav Kumar Prabhu, for that. Anything else from anyone? If not, then we will end the session here. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Madhvacharya Disappearance Day ki jai. His Grace Bhakti Rasa Prabhu ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol.